distracted by food right now. What's on my mind? Mac and cheese. Gotta come back to this. So she gets distracted easy. So our last box is and so, and this is where we make our claim. So our claim is when we take our evidence, we put it with our opinion, and we're like, boom, got it, backed it up, can't argue with me. And this is important in writing our responses and passing the EOC and passing this class, but this is also something that's really important in life. Like if you get into an argument with someone, if you can back up what you're saying, 100% of the time, you're right. That person can say whatever they want, and you know, guess what? Got evidence, backed it up, done, right. So like this is something that's good to know how to do, especially when it comes to looking at text sometimes. Like it's easy to just come up with what your opinion is and be like, well, I think this is right or I think that's right. But if you can back it up, your claim is 100% stronger. So how are we going to combine all of these things into our and so? Does anyone want to take a shot at combining them? Anyone? Jamie? Got any thoughts? All right. So let's say, if this is our theme, a claim could be that because the author uses repetition but changes from poem to pie, we know that she gets distracted easily and is trying to tell us not to procrastinate. Now that's a lot, right? But do you guys see where I made that connection? Let's hear you. Can you restate what I just said? How we make that connection? Think about it. Take 10 seconds. Everyone take 10 seconds and just think. How will we make that connection? Any ideas? Tanya, you look like you have one.
When you said the repetition changed from poem to pie, so that's how you know they get like off track and get distracted. And then that all goes back to don't wait till the last minute.
It all goes back to don't waste till the last minute, right? Perfect. So in our responses, this is what you're going to pull out into like a few sentences. Let's try to summarize it, shorten it down a little bit. So our and so could be that repetition, 100% of pen should be moving. You should be writing as we are writing. Repetition of perfect blank. I'm just going to write that. Why would we write perfect blank right there? What's happening?
You don't know what she's talking about.
She's talking about the poem, and then she's talking about the pie. So we're going to say the repetition of this perfect blank. What does it show us? Well, it could be anything. But we know in this poem she's talking about the pie and the poem. But what does that show us about getting distracted? You just said it.
Very easy.
Hmm?
Very easy.
Right, it's very easy. So repetition of perfect blank shows the narrator is distracted. And what happens when she gets distracted? She thinks about food, but what happens to the poem? It goes away, right? She loses the poem. So I drew this arrow to show like kind of the connection and thought there. So it shows the narrator is distracted. She loses the poem, and that goes back to our theme, right? Don't wait till the last minute, don't procrastinate. And why would that go back to our theme?
Because she waited till the last minute.
But she waited till the last minute, and then what happened? Right, exactly. So don't procrastinate. Now I know that's a lot, but does that make sense? It's okay if it doesn't. Thumbs up if this kind of train of thought, this connection, makes sense. Thumbs up, thumbs in the middle. Where's your confusion at?
How all that comes back to the
How does all this come back to the theme? Good question, because we got to get that if we're going to write these responses. So our theme is at the beginning. If we were writing this in a circle, you could also kind of put the theme at the end. But it's important that we identify our theme first so that we know what we're looking for. So the it says, our question is how do these devices support the theme, right? So the it says is looking for the devices. That's the first step. So you could find them, but if you didn't know how to explain them or like you didn't have an opinion on that, then you can't really make your claim, right? You can't just say the author uses repetition. But how does that support the theme? So that's where the I say comes in. That's kind of where you put in your opinion on what those devices mean. And the and so is just combining all of that. So when you're writing your 4-point responses, you're going to include all of these things, but you're going to kind of do it all as the and so. Does that make a little more sense? A little more sense? Keandre? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Does that make a little more sense? Yeah, thumbs up? Awesome. So you have on your page 2 more blanks, right? So take 10 seconds and silently reread the prompt that's right below it. Take 10 seconds. Materius is reading. Emmanuel is reading. Tanya is reading. We went past some seconds. So the reason all of this is important is because you need to make sure that you're like proving that theme. Because you can't say that anything is a theme, but theme is something that's pretty up for interpretation. Like if you're getting a lesson out of something, that's fine. It doesn't have to be the lesson I get or that Ms. Simonson gets, but as long as you can prove it and back it up, that's why this is important. So now that you've reread the prompt, why do you think that I have 2 boxes on your graphic organizer instead of just 1? Why are there 2 boxes and not just 1? Exactly, you need 2 pieces of evidence. So your theme is going to be the same when we do this. You can have the same theme, so that doesn't need to change, but you should be having 2 different pieces of evidence so that you should be doing this whole thing with 2 pieces of evidence, so doing it twice. So we're going to have the next like 25 minutes to work on this graphic organizer and write a response for the first poem that we read today, The Lighthouse Keeper and the Hearing Goal. So I'm going to help you time it out a little bit. You should be spending approximately 2 minutes on each box. I'll keep you moving, remind you of when your 2 minutes are, and remind you of when you should start writing, but this should be silent and independent. Does anyone have any questions on what we're doing? Okay. What are we doing? Does anyone have an answer? Let's hear it.
Basically what we just did for the form, but instead of doing it for the top, we went for the first one that we read.
Thank you. Is that clear? Okay, so take your 2 minutes for your first box is starting now. I'll be coming around to help if anyone has any questions. The Lighthouse Keeper and the Hearing Goal, the first question, the first poem that we worked on. So you should start by finding the theme for that poem. Not the same theme from this poem, because it's a totally different poem, but both of these boxes can say the same thing. First time. The lesson that's needed for the author to revise. Summary is like a topic. Well, let's maybe include. What about that? So that way, that's what happens. But what does that tell us? Okay. Tanya is using her questions to find the theme. Jamie is rereading the poem. Emmanuel is rereading the poem. You need some help, look back at number 5. Oh yeah, just kidding.